My goal today is for us to take some notes that is going to help us feel prepared for our quiz on Monday over 1.1 through 1.4. The first idea that I want us to know how to do is finding the absolute value. Guys, what is the absolute value of negative 16? 16, very good. So let's go ahead and put that answer directly underneath and box the answer in. Because that means the number negative 16 is exactly 16 numbers away from 0. Let's go on to the next one, problem B. There is a negative sign outside of the absolute value. Repeat after me. Drop it down. Drop it down. All we're going to do is drop that down right there. And now we will focus on this part, the absolute value of 3/4. Guys, what's the absolute value of 3/4? 3/4 is correct. So what is the final answer?
Negative 3/4.
Excellent, negative 3/4. Try the next one on your own. All right, who would like to help me with problem C? Kyla, what'd you get?
I got negative 5.
You are correct. We dropped down that negative on the outside, and then the absolute value of negative 5 is 5. So the total answer is negative 5. Any questions on this section? All right, there will be a section that looks identical to that, just with different numbers on your quiz. So if you understand that, excellent. All right, let's look at the next section. Copy and complete the statement using less than, greater than, or equal to. For this kind of a section, you do want to show me some sort of work. Now, at this point, it's very difficult to be able to compare a fraction and a decimal. So I'm either going to turn them both into fractions or I'm going to turn them both into decimals. Let's go ahead and turn 1/2 into a decimal. Guys, what is 1/2 as a decimal? 0.5. All right. If for some reason you did not know that, you could do 1 divided by 2. And when you work that out, you would see, oh, okay, that equals 0.5, okay? If not, a lot of people have those kind of things already memorized in their head. Now you're going to drop down the blank sign that you see there. And now let's focus on this, the absolute value of negative 4.5. Gerard, what is the absolute value of negative 4.5? It is 4.5, very good. Now we're going to read from left to right, but we're going to place one of these signs inside of the blank. Read it to me from left to right, class. 0.5 is less than 4.5. Very good job. And then we'll just bump that same sign up to the top. I want you to try problem B on your own and stand once you've got the answer. All right, Kaylin, help me with what you did. What's the absolute value of negative 6? It is 6, and then I'm going to drop down. Remember, this is how you show me work. So if you forgot to do work underneath it, I want you to go and show me work underneath it. Now, what is the negative absolute value of 6? Negative 6. Read it to me from left to right. 6 is greater than negative 6. That is correct. Any questions on section 2? All right, there's another section here that we're going to be finding the sum or the difference. As you can see here, we do have some double signs. Out of a positive negative, who always wins? The negative. So I'm going to take my plus sign and scribble it out. Show me that work on yours also. That's just eliminating a double sign. Now, reading from left to right, what is still left there, class? 4 minus 9. Zariana, what is 4 minus 9?
5.
Okay, take the sign of the larger number. Negative 5 is correct. Let's go on to the next one. Who'd like to help me with problem B? Christopher, 16 minus negative 4. What should I do?
Turn the two negatives into positive.
Very good. We've got a double negative, so it turns into a monster positive. If I rewrite it, it's 16 plus 4. And what's the answer? 20 is correct. Box it in. All right, now we're going to go on to a rational number. Remember, a rational number is just a fraction or a decimal. Let's first turn these things into improper fractions. Adam, negative 1.5. How would I turn that into an improper fraction? Okay, very good. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, so we're going to have 3 halves. Now, Adam, this was a negative, so should I keep it a negative or turn it into a regular positive?
Keep it a negative.
You have to keep the negative. Very good job. Adam, moving on, I've got plus, minus, double signs next to each other. Let's eliminate one. Which one can I get rid of?
The plus sign.
I can get rid of the plus because when we're adding a negative, that means to subtract. So I'm going to bring down minus 2/5. All right, so this is not a common denominator, but I need it to be a common denominator. Guys, what would that common denominator be? 10. So I have to turn the 2 into a 10, and I have to turn the 5 into a 10. Caleb, if I turn this 2 into a 10, what do I need to multiply it by? Times 5, all right? So show me the work, times 5 on the bottom, times 5 on the top. Caleb, to turn this into a 10, what do I need to multiply it by? Times 2. So we'll do times 2 on the bottom and times 2 on the top. Kyla, as I do that, what is this new fraction right here?
15 tenths.
Okay, and keep the negative, so it would be?
Negative 15 tenths.
Negative 15 tenths is correct. Once again, you can see that there is a subtraction right there, so we're going to drop down that negative sign. And Kyla, what would this be when we have the equivalent fraction?
4 tenths.
4 tenths is correct. Remember that little saying that we talked about before. Every number has a sign, and that sign is directly in front of that number. So here are the signs directly in front of those numbers. Are those the same sign or different sign? Same sign. So what do? Add and keep. Guys, what do you get when we add that and keep the sign?
19 over
19 tenths. Now, what's wrong with that answer?
It's improper.
It is improper, okay? So in order to do this correctly, you've got to make sure you turn that into a mixed number, all right? If you don't know how to do it in your head, do it off to the side. 19 divided by 10. How many times does 10 go into 19? 1. 1 times 10 is 10, and you are left with 1 and 9 tenths, okay? Now, going back over here, is it positive or negative? It is negative, so the final answer is what, class? Negative 1 and 9 tenths. All right, the next one is decimals. I want you guys to try to do problem D on your own. Okay, Gerard, same sign or different sign? Different sign, so what should I do? Subtract and take. If I do the work over here to the side, 8.18 minus 2.52. Gerard, what did you get when you did that? 5.66. Now, class, we need to take the sign of the larger number. Which one had the larger absolute value? The 8.18 or the 2.52? The 8.18. Now, was that positive or negative? Negative. Okay, you're not going to box in this answer over here. We're going to actually rewrite it. Negative 5.66. And then box that in. 2 thumbs up if you got the correct answer. If you did not, that's okay. These are your review notes to help you, okay? As I walked around, I saw a lot of people who added them together. Remember, you only add them if you have the same sign. But if it's a different sign, you want to subtract and take. Okay, so yesterday we started talking about finding the distance between two numbers. You can use a number line if you need to. I want you to try to do this on your own to see if you can remember how we did this yesterday. All right. Remember, to find the distance, I taught you a little trick yesterday. You take the biggest actual number. What's the bigger number, 4 or negative 2? 4. And you subtract the smaller actual number, which is negative 2. Now we have a case where we need to have a monster positive. What's 4 plus 2? 6. The distance between those two numbers is 6. Now, in this case, these are small numbers. Sometimes they're really big numbers, okay? But if you wanted to, you could always draw yourself a number line. Negative 2, positive 4. Count with me how many numbers away they are. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it took 6 hops to get to the other number. Now, in this next case right here, it would be very tricky to make a number line with decimals. So instead, you've got to remember the trick I just taught you. I want you now to try problem B on your own. Stand once you think you have it correct. Okay, remind me again, guys, how do I find distance? Do I start with the biggest number or the smallest number? Biggest. What is my biggest number? 5.8. What do I do to the smallest number now? Subtract it. Still, as I just walked around, many of you were adding it. Guys, you always subtract the smallest number. This one, if you're just looking at that, you think, but there's a plus sign there. Remember, we subtracted a negative. All right, so it was a double negative. But here, we are just subtracting a positive number. What is the answer? 2.5. Remember, with distance, you cannot have a negative distance. No matter what, you're never allowed to have a negative distance. Think, if I'm walking over there 10 feet, I walk 10 feet. There's no such thing as walking negative 10 feet. So distance always has to be positive. All right, let's go ahead and flip to the back side. Number 5 says, evaluate the expression when A equals -8, B equals 4, and C equals -1. I want you to take your pencil and circle what A equals, what B equals, and what C equals. Now what you're going to do is plug it in, plug it in. Instead of writing -A plus C, you're going to plug in those things that we just circled. I want you to try to do problem A and B on your own. All right, so first things first. Just imagine you are rewriting -A plus C, okay? Now instead of A, I'm going to plug in what A is. What was A up there, class? -8, okay? So I am going to erase the A, and instead I will plug in -8. Now, instead of a C, I'm going to erase the C, and what will I plug in, class? -1. Okay, so that's how you plug it in. Notice, you still keep the minus and the plus signs that were there originally. Now we can go in and eliminate double signs. Zion, what happens now when I eliminate double signs? What am I left with? What happens to -8? It becomes a monster positive, okay? So now that's just a regular old 8. What happens to these double signs, Zion? Very good. Anytime you're adding a negative, the negative always wins. Class, what's 8 minus 1? 7 is correct. Raise your hand if you got 7 as the correct answer on your own. If you did not, please erase it and fix it. All right, so same idea. If it helps you, you can drop down C minus B. Now instead, we're going to plug in the C. Brandon, what did you plug in for C? -1, okay, so I'm going to put a -1 right there. And Adam, what did you plug in for B? 4, so I'll put a 4 right there. Guys, same sign or different sign?
Same sign.
Okay, because remember that special saying, every number has a sign, and that sign is directly in front of that number. So this is a negative, and that is a negative. Same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign. What do you get, guys?
-5.
-5. 2 thumbs up if you got that correct on your own. Fantastic. If you did not, erase it and fix it. All right, so modeling real life kinds of problems are basically taking all the ideas and things that we've learned and putting into a real life scenario. In this case, there is a bird. It begins its flight at 33 feet above the ground. It dives into the ocean and it swims 9 feet below the water. What distance did the bird travel? Okay, so we have learned how to find distance. We talked about it yesterday. We just did 2 problems of how to find the distance. Sometimes, though, people completely forget that, and it might help you to draw some kind of a visual to help. So I'd like you to start with drawing a little bit of water, okay? It tells us at the beginning, just read from the beginning, a bird begins its flight 33 feet above the ground, okay? So I am going to draw a little arrow up here, and we'll say up here at the top is 33 feet. Now, I'm no super drawer, but we'll just pretend that this is the bird that's flying up there at 33 feet, okay? The bird doesn't stay up there, though, guys. Where does he go? He dives into the ocean. If he goes into the ocean, he is going below the water. How far below the water did he go? So I'm going to come down here to say that is about 9 feet down. If it is 9 feet underwater, that's not +9, what would it be? -9. Now what you're trying to figure out is the distance from the bird at the top until when he dove underneath at 9 feet below. There is a way that I taught you how to figure this out. You take the biggest number. What was the biggest number, class? 33. And you subtract the smallest number. What was the smallest number? -9, because it was 9 feet below. All right? So now we would turn that into a monster positive. And then you're just going to add those 2 things together. Guys, what's 33 plus 9? 42. Now, whenever you do a modeling real life problem, you have to have units attached. This is 42 feet. Now, just to make sure that this makes sense, I want you to think about this. From here to here, how many feet was that? 33, because the water is basically a 0. Now, if I was to figure out from here to there, how many feet is that? Okay, or 9, all right? So then you're simply adding together, this was 33 feet, this was 9 feet, so you add the two together and you would get 42, okay? All right, your bank account has a balance of $30. That means you start off with $30. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down because that's what I'm starting with, positive $30. You withdraw $65 from your bank account. That means, hey, I'm going to a Dude Perfect concert and I need $65 for my ticket. So I'm going to take it out. If I'm taking out, am I adding or subtracting? You are subtracting, minus $65. What is your new balance? Guys, is that same sign or different sign? Different sign, subtract and take. So 65 minus 30 equals 35. So your answer is, because you took the sign of the larger number, negative $35. Okay? Don't forget, guys, we do have a quiz coming up on Monday, and it is over 1.1 through 1.4.